Hey guys, it's Joe Nathan here with some F1 news. In the background, I've got this mod from a league. The description will have the link to that league if you're interested in it. Driving around Sochi Autodrome since the next Grand Prix is in Russia. I think it's a decent track, but that's for a different time. Let's talk about what's been happening here based on what will have a decent effect, a big effect actually, on 2016. The first thing I want to talk about is Renault and Lotus, as their talks on transitioning from this really rocky 2015 season to a possibly greener 2016 situation for both teams, or for both parties rather. Um, it's come to a near close. They finally come public. It's been about 2 months since the talks might have begun, or rumored to have begun, and from what I can tell, it looks like Renault's pretty optimistic about it having a team in 2016, or maybe not a full-time team or a full team, but having at least a controlled stake in the team. That's what they've done. They've signed a letter of intent to buy a controlling stake in Lotus, which is good news for Lotus because they have been on thin ice all season, and it's really shown publicly more than anything else. Of course, people have wondered about the finances of Lotus in 2014, maybe even a little bit in 2013 with stuff like Kimi Räikkönen and whatnot. So it was getting a little shaky back then, but now it's almost like the roof is collapsing on them. So they've got basically a case going on, or they had a case going on, but now it's been adjourned for 70 days, so they're clear until December 7th. This case is for some unpaid bills that Lotus owes, basically, and what this period of adjournment means is they can't be put on trial for any more debts. So they're cool for 70 days. They can focus on what they need to do, and then at the end of the season, I guess they got to take care of business, which is good news for them because Renault, I think, is going to give them a loan, and that loan they can use to pay off those debts that they need to take care of. These unpaid bills that they've had aren't brand new. At the Belgian Grand Prix, they've almost had their cars impounded, which is catastrophic considering that you need your cars. And then at the Hungarian Grand Prix, they also almost weren't able to access Pirelli tires because they haven't paid their bills. Pretty dangerous stuff. As I said, skating on very thin ice, because at that point you don't have the finances to run the team anymore. That's scary. So as the team possibly changes hands, Renault, they seem really optimistic about running a team in 2016. So you're taking a look at a team that's won a championship or two with Fernando Alonso 2005 to 2006. And you've got a team that might be able to do stuff. You never know. I mean, Renault, their power unit, not that great, but they could improve for 2016 and 2017. You can't really count them out until they get out onto the track, I guess. So with that in mind, they're going to have Alan Prost take over as a driver. No, I'm kidding. As taking a senior role, kind of like Niki Lauda at Mercedes, which is, I guess that's a neat thing to see a former driver take a senior role in the team. So that's neat. But as far as actual drivers go, for current drivers, rather, you got Pastor Maldonado, who's already confirmed that he'll be back in 2016 at this team, whichever it is, whether it's Lotus or Renault. And Romain Grosjean basically confirmed he's going to be leaving for Haas F1, and Sky F1 has got some speculation that maybe Grosjean might consider returning or remaining at Lotus, Renault, whatever, just because he got his start in F1 at Renault. So a little bit of an attachment there. I don't think it's going to happen. He's pretty excited about moving to Haas F1, it seems, so why would he want to leave to a potentially really shaky team after seeing like that power unit just not cut it? Anyways, so with that in mind, it's still unknown who the teammate's going to be with Pastor Maldonado. Speaking of teams that are not looking all too good for the upcoming season, Red Bull. So these guys have struggled 2014, 2015, and 2016 is going to be even worse apparently. Christian Horner is not confident at all. Apparently, they are very, very late. That's word for word, very, very late from Christian Horner on their 2016 car, which to me means 2014 and 2015 wasn't great. 2016 is going to be even worse. So I don't want to see these guys be a backmarker team. Neither does Red Bull. So what I see happening here is Red Bull getting a deal from Ferrari for that power unit that they desperately need at this point. Christian Horner says it's critical right now because in an interview at the Japanese Grand Prix, he said, as of right now, we really don't have an engine. It seems like Mercedes isn't going to happen. It's either Ferrari, Renault, or dropping out, and we already know Renault is not an option. So from what I can tell, it seems like Ferrari are kind of, they're a little patient right now. They're not going to jump the gun and just give the engine to Red Bull. I think it's a waiting game at this point, because what I can see happening is Ferrari waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and saying, okay, now you can have it. Now we can confirm the deal to set Red Bull even further back in development. So while they still have an engine, they don't necessarily have a decent, the best car they could have, I guess. That could be a possibility. Ferrari could do that. I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but it's a possibility. It's speculation for me, for sure. Looking onwards, though, if that doesn't work out, will Mercedes bail them out? I don't know. Sky F1, again, with some speculation that maybe there's a chance that they're still talking, Mercedes and Red Bull. And it most likely won't happen, but there's still a slight chance Mercedes might give in. Same thing with Ferrari. They might be like, oh, well, Red Bull doesn't have enough time to really develop their car anyways, since they didn't know they had this engine to work with in the beginning. But with that in mind, Red Bull, if they don't get that deal, if they don't get either deal, if they don't get an engine that's not Renault, the owner of Red Bull might pull both teams. And that's sad to see. Ricciardo, Kvyat, Verstappen, and Sainz all leave, and four cars, 2 teams gone out of F1. That's not what Formula 1 needs at all, and that would be a huge disappointment. Catastrophic failure. Anyways, so that's it for me. That's all I have for 2016 as of now. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more of this type of video. See you around.